Hello Forkies, this is day 69 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rank of 2500. So here we go. We have the game, we have the white pieces, so let's play pawn to e4, my first move of today's game. We'll see what my opponent will do. He's 2000 rated, so he's definitely good, and he plays the Caro-Kann defense. I will now play d4, the main line, taking away space, and d5, and now pawn to f3, my most commonly played variation against Caro-Kann, the fantasy, and takes and d5. Now knight f3, stopping queen h4 check, and also pressuring the e5 pawn here. My opponent is taking some time and he takes the d4 pawn. Taking the pawn is not the best, you should play bishop g4, but now I sacrifice my pawn, play bishop c4 with some early tricks in the position. For example, now bishop g4 simply loses due to bishop takes on f7, and then knight e5 is simply a fork on the king and on the bishop being on g4, of course. So we play bishop e6, which is still okay. Of course, you have to take this bishop now, and I think just castles for white is the best move. Opening up the rook, threatening some knight e5, perhaps threatening knight e5, although there is... Oh, c5 is not correct, definitely c5 is not correct. Simply here, queen f3, also just takes here. No, c5 is bad. But how to punish that? So I think knight g5, threatening, of course, this fork on f7. The only way to stop this fork is to play knight h6 or to play knight f6, but knight f6 there is simply e5, and then playing knight f5, knight f7, excuse me, winning the game on the spot. So knight g5, knight h6, and perhaps there is even queen h5, but then there is g6 defending the knight with the bishop. So maybe queen f3 instead of playing queen to h5, still threatening fork, because if knight takes then there is checkmate, or simply taking on d6 should be also good enough. Because knight e5 there is knight f6, oh, knight f6 should just allow a rook sack. No, but then there is no queen h5, I guess you go back. Oh, whoa, but this should be winning, yeah? Oh, g6 still, yeah? G6 is the problem. So no, just knight g5, yeah? I think just knight g5. Knight e5 should also be fine. And then bishop g5, and then both moves look pretty normal, pretty fine. Perhaps knight e5, now that I look at it, looks slightly better, and then bishop g5, bishop d6 takes, check, and mate. Well, both moves are pretty good, because knight e5, the only way to block is to play knight e5 here, then simply bishop g5, knight d7, oh, knight d7. But knight d7, I take here. Just play knight g5. I think knight g5 is the best move here. Maybe it's not. Maybe I could be wrong, but knight e5 was also there. The two knight moves are just probably winning the game here. Here and here. Looks nice. I'm just winning the pawn back with some tempo on the queen, with tempo on c7 as well. And then taking here. That looks just overwhelming, I think. So now knight g5 I think should be just better for white. I'm not sure how to deal with this. And now knight h6, there is queen f3, there is also knight takes on e6 just. And then maybe even taking here, and rook takes and king takes. And maybe some queen f3, e5, picking up the b7 in some positions. Also just developing my bishop taking on h6 could also be a move, and then playing some checks. I am overdeveloped. I have sacrificed the pawn, central pawn, but I have castled king, I have the very open rook, I have potential for my queen. My knight is threatening this fork, which should just win the game. My bishop is open here, my knight can easily get into the action. But I don't think my knight should go to action, because I think I'm just... Yes, I mean, now e5 allowing here, I mean, you should be lost in this position, I think. I think I'm just completely winning here with knight f7. Yes, I should just... There is no check with the queen? I mean, this should be just fork, yeah? I don't really believe my opponent will resign just yet. But you don't even get my knight back, because I can always play knight f7 back. And there I'm also threatening queen h5, g6, and knight takes. And just win. And the fact that my opponent is not moving instantly means that I don't think he forgot about this tactic, but he might just... Yes, queen c7 now just takes here. Knight f6 only move. Otherwise I just check you here and win. Also, there are some rook sacrifices. Queen f3, bishop g5. I mean, I am up a full rook. But you play knight c6, which just looks like giant blunder to me. Yes, this is game over. Queen h5. If here, rook takes. If here, queen here, rook here, sorry. So yeah, just here. g6, knight takes. Pawn takes, queen takes. If here is pretty big problems. Knight f6, I take you. Queen f7, I take you. There is nothing left but to resign the game now. And yes, even with so strong opponents, Fantasy Caro-Kann can give you very quick wins, even against 2000 rated opponents. It's just unbelievable how good is this opening against a solid Caro-Kann players. Just queen takes g6 check, picking even the knight up, and we did the game. Okay, there is one thing I of course forgot. There is no rook f7 because knight blocks. But still, I'm just up on exchange now, and queen takes knight should just be complete. Game over. And then just pick up here. There is also rook f8, and then here, but yes, should also pick up the rook. But just here and here. There is no check with the bishop to... I mean, the rook is extraying my queen. It doesn't matter. Knight f7, there is check. That's it, I'm up a rook and up a pawn. After 15 moves of a rapid game against a 2000 rated opponent. Unbelievable. And now he's also blundering. I mean, rook f7. Another rook is blundered. Knight c2 though. I mean, you could just take here, for example. Let me find the best continuation. There is one I see that I think should just be over. For example, rook f7 here. And takes, and here. I win another piece, so what do you mean? I can just take here, of course. And then threaten the rook trade. But then he simply gets another rook. I mean, he gets a rook here. But you shouldn't be able to get a piece back. But it's a little... So no, I mean, rook f7, bishop e7. Queen takes rook, knight takes on c2. And I simply go back to f8. Attacking here, and then should just be over. So rook f7 now. There is no check. Queen takes a8. You will take here, but it doesn't matter. And you will also take my rook, but it doesn't matter, I play here. It's not a queen blunder, because, I mean, I take your king. And if anywhere, I just pick up. I mean, maybe not. Wait, you even take my... Yeah, but this is just... I could have taken with the queen, it would be better. Doesn't matter though. There is nothing to do but to resign. So it was a pretty quick game. I'm in a little bit of a hurry as well, so I think this is just fair result. And here, yes, taking with the queen was just forced mate, and probably few moves, because you cannot go to c4 because queen b3 is not mate actually. I get it now, but I mean, rook takes just wins the queen, so doesn't quite matter what you do. Will you resign or will you wait 13 minutes? If my opponent will wait 13 minutes to resign, then I will cut the video. So don't worry, you won't watch 13 minutes of him not resigning. But yes, anyway, I think today's game was a perfect example of how good fantasy Caro-Kann can actually be. Destroying 2000 rated opponent in the Caro-Kann in 10 moves is insane. And I did it. It wasn't even close. I mean, he had zero knowledge. He knew that... Let me do quick analysis. He knew that he had to take and play e5, and after knight f3, he just took the pawn. I don't know what he thought I will do here. Excuse me. Knight f3, if takes, of course you don't take back, you play bishop c4, and many people here play bishop g4, and then simply blundering bishop takes on f7, winning everything. Bishop e6 takes and castles, just getting the knight to f7 is my idea, opening up the diagonal for the queen. Is c5 is of course a giant blunder. Now we're just completely lost after knight g5. I mean, this is just lost. And now he's not resigning after rook takes c7. So I will cut the video now and will let you know when he resigns. So my opponent played king c6 actually, so I will just take the free queen now. And I expect nothing less but to resign, but he doesn't resign just yet. I can take here with check and just win the game, yeah? It's that's easy. If here I simply go check now, and I mean also this is just completely fine. Knight c2 though. Probably better to give check and then to take. Here. I wanna take with check, but it doesn't matter at all. So just takes knight c2 and knight a3. I think this is just lost. I mean, takes, check, takes here, and now there is nothing to do but to resign. I will try to mate him somehow with my queen and with my knight. I'm not sure how doable that actually is. And I can also just push my pawn. If king b8, for example, just push my pawn and make a queen 8 checkmate actually. So yes, I think it's just game over, complete game over. And now I will also cut the video to the next time my opponent will make a move. He made a move, king b8, so also knight b5 is just mate on the board, yeah? Knight b5 is mate. This is pre-move checkmate. I hope he resigns now. I mean, just make a move and get mated. It's not that hard. Come on. Now I will also cut the video to the next time my opponent will make a move or he will resign. So my opponent made a move and I pre-moved the checkmate. So let's game review the game now. It was a pretty decent game, I must say. It truly reflects the dynamic and the attacking potential of the fantasy Caro-Kann. And yes, I played with 85.9% accuracy, my opponent played with 75. Let's analyze the game now. We'll see what happened where my opponent did make a wrong decision. So it was pawn to e4, c6, the Caro-Kann defense. d4 and d5. And now, usually people push the pawn, or defend the pawn, or maybe take here and play bishop d3, c3, so on. Pretty normal Caro-Kann positions. But the move my opponent did not expect, was pawn to f3. The positions are pretty fine for both players, I think, but I like playing those positions with the white, so takes and takes. And now e5 is the only move. Knight f3, defending the h4. If I were to take here, for example, you do not trade queens, you play queen h4 here. King d2 is forced, but if you play g3, of course, this is a simple fork after knight e2. You just blunder the rook, so there is no help for you. So yes, of course, knight f3 here, stopping queen h4 check is the only move. And now takes. Takes is not the main line. Let me show you the main line. The main line is to play bishop g4, and that's pretty obvious why you are developing the piece, trying to play a knight d7, knight f6, and just play bishop d6, because this is your stronghold. Kind of. You cannot take here, because then I have a free not free, but fast e4 pawn, and I can also regain the pawn, and my positions are pretty great here. So now bishop c4. The only move is to play knight d7. If not, if you play knight f6, well, bishop takes on f7 with the same fork idea as earlier. And now if you are good enough to take the pawn, well, this is checkmate. So that's just one of the variations, but my opponent chose to take the pawn. I played bishop c4, gambiting the pawn. And of course, if I were to play knight takes here, well, the same idea, queen h4 happens. And if I take with the queen, I mean, I have an isolated pawn here, and black is at least equal here. This pawn is very weak. So you should go for an attack. You are gambiting a pawn, bishop c4, with a giant initiative. Bishop e6 is already a mistake, I can take it, and simply castle, which is a great move. Now the only move you can make is knight f6. And after knight f6, e5 is pretty forced. Knight e4, knight e4 is the only move. Wait a second. But usually people play knight d5 against me. Simply knight g5. Queen d7 apparently. And rook f7. Knight e7. And g6 and just go back. This is the best way to play. And of course, black cannot make a single move. I will just improve my position and get the knight to d6, just win the game on the spot. So my opponent blundered to c5. Of course, you cannot play like this. You should be developing. And I played knight g5. That was the best and the only move that wins the game immediately. Knight a3 was also possible, but not knight e5. Knight e5 blunders knight f6. And after bishop g5, now the only move that I saw during my calculation is knight bd7, of course, defending the knight, attacking here. And queen takes. You're gambiting a pawn back, but you don't really want to take it, because if you play e5, there is queen d5. Pawn takes, queen takes g4 is just fine. So yes, knight g5 just wins the game on the spot. It is +3 for white. My opponent played d5, which is also very... there is rook takes f7. And this fork. I am forky chess and I missed this fork. Okay, still, knight f7 is not bad. Queen c7 is still winning. Queen h5 just wins the game. Knight takes here. And just I took here, which is completely fine. Knight before. I won another rook. You took on c2. I played queen f8. Takes, and well, my opponent just start to lose. I mean, knight b5 is just mate, yeah, because this is pretty normal stuff. a6 just And I mean, he was spending so much time here. He spent 5 minutes on playing this move. Although the game and the video itself seems pretty short, it was a really long game for me. I was sitting here for like 10-15 minutes waiting my opponent to make all those moves. I don't know if he was thinking that I will just abort playing or something, but of course I wasn't really going to do that. And yes, this game perfectly demonstrates the power of the fantasy Caro-Kann itself here. I mean, +3 on move 9 against the Caro-Kann is just insane, yeah? And I mean, I hope I have inspired you to play the fantasy Caro-Kann. Please try it yourself, it is just so amazing. I found it like 1 year ago and I mean, it's just amazing, so try it yourself, of course. And of course, if you have anything to tell me, please let me know in the comments below. I will be reading and answering all of your comments. And I also launched some new memberships on my YouTube channel, so you can check out those perks as well. Maybe you will be impressed and will try to support my channel that way. And of course, as always, if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would really help me out. And see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!